Welcome to the Sedona Soul Sisters, down-to-earth discussions on spirituality, metaphysics, paranormal, and healing topics. The Sedona Soul Sisters are the most trusted psychic mediums in Sedona, Arizona. We are Rosalind Reynolds, myself, Ivory Lanu, Melissa Brace, and Terry Ann Russell, who is out on the road and absent today. We have offices in Sedona, Arizona, where we see clients from all over the world. Today's topic is tips for creating a spiritual discipline. If you are with us now and you want to ask a question, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you, or you can ask it in the chat room if you're watching or listening later. There is an email address in the show description. You can send your question there anytime, even months later. We will talk about it amongst ourselves and get back to you with an answer. So this is actually a topic we've talked about before, but there's been some requests for us to address this again. So a spiritual discipline is just things that you do on a regular basis that are, whether it's for spiritual protection, to raise your frequency, to keep yourself on the right track, to focus, to ground. So we're going to talk about how you can put that together. We'll share a little bit with you about our own spiritual discipline and talk about what that can do to help you. Why is that important? Let's start with that. Why should anybody create a spiritual discipline?
Well, in my case, I'm kind of ADHD. I can be bouncing all over. So I have to, make effort to stay focused, grounded, and on task. And that really helps me to have my prayer and affirmation time on a daily basis. I'm pretty much praying off and on, all day long. And I'm also, consulting and praying when I'm working with people. So that's part of that discipline of being focused on doing good works and helping people. And I noticed that on the days, even the days when I don't see clients, because I do have a couple of days that I've set aside in the last year where I really spend time focusing on my spiritual discipline. And I also focus on, during meditation process, always seeing that discipline as my path. So it's pretty powerful, and you really, without that, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are grounded enough to stay on task really good, but that's not me. So I have to really stay intense on it and focus my energy. And I think that's the main reason that things work for me. So
for me, like not necessarily just for me, but in general, what I notice is that when you set aside time for something that's important in your life, then it keeps you on track and makes it part of your routine, and you don't forget to stay in touch with it. And I equate it with, let's say that you start an exercise routine. If you don't do it every day, or every day that you're supposed to be doing it, eventually it just sort of fades away, and your busy life takes over and you forget. And sadly, that can happen with our spiritual life too. It's easy to get caught up in the mundane things of life, or even in our case, seeing clients, which is not mundane, but we're taking care of other people more than taking care of ourselves. So I think just having, the important thing for everyone is to have set times of your day that you devote to your spirituality and your journey and your connection to your angels and guides.
Melissa and I laugh all the time because we are both just the ADHD thing. I don't know if she was ever diagnosed, but they didn't even have that when I was a kid. But even as a child, I had to constantly, try to get back into the zone of function. So, and that does carry through into our adult activities, and especially, I think, coming from a spiritual perspective, if you're not getting yourself calm, grounded, on task and all that, your skills and abilities definitely are impacted by that.
So anyone who has that issue or something like that, issues with focus, then the grounding aspect of your spiritual discipline is especially important. So what are some things that we do for grounding? I mean, I'm a big proponent of earthing. Sometimes it's way too hot or too cold here, or it's impossible because I don't have grass or dirt on my property. I live in a neighborhood that loves gravel yards. It's the way it is. So if you can, just putting your feet on soil or real grass for 30 minutes a day just to absorb and balance yourself with the energy of earth. But if you don't have that, Roz and her boyfriend Ed have introduced me to grounding mats a few years ago, and I've been using them regularly. And through the time of COVID and the economic upheaval, it's been a godsend, especially in the early days when my head was reeling and I'm just trying to figure out, oh my God, how long am I going to have to stay home alone? How long am I going to be doing no in-person sessions because of my health issue? And it helped me calm down a lot and focus and figure out how to make this work through this crazy time.
I think those things are just amazing. Any of the grounding tools that you want to make use of, like I have the grounding mat that I can put my feet on underneath my desk. um, I use that, a little bit on a daily basis. I also have one, believe it or not, on my pillow, um, that I sleep on. And these are they're grounding by being plugged in literally to the ground in your home. So it's made a very big difference in my calmness, but also my sleep has improved. I must have the most amazing lack of melatonin. And when I try to take melatonin as a supplement, I'm turned into Dopey, the little, uh, munchkin guy for Snow
One of
White.
Snow White's friends.
Yeah, Snow White. I'm just, I can't think. I'm like brain fogged and all that. So my two secrets of life are drink a little milk before you go to sleep, which actually has melatonin in it. I know a lot of vegans are going to faint when I say that, but it helps dramatically. And the grounding in your daily activities, pretty much that being something again that you put on um, a list of your spiritual little practices that you do. So,
I, I also have a grounding mat, and Roz's boyfriend also taught me about how the different tools for the grounding, and of course I think I would vote out of the three of us, I would be the most ADHD person. So the focus and the grounding, and I also have a pillowcase that's a grounding pillowcase. I really love that. I mean, it's just helpful.
yeah.
And I was going to mention the rest, the sleep. Um, so I do take a little tablet of melatonin every night. Um, but I'm also obsessed with baths, salt baths, and my focus for myself at least, and sometimes with clients, is in the energy works, is the clearing my energy, staying grounded, keeping focused. And it's almost like I need a little checklist with me every single day to stay on track sometimes. And yesterday was my day. I was like, okay, I haven't taken a real day off where I didn't do anything for a long time. So I did it yesterday, and I feel I'm bouncy again, like I'm refreshed. I can't wait. I mean, I can't wait to get going again. But my top three are the grounding and the focus, and then the salt clearing baths and clearing energy work for me. Just keeps me on track, and it keeps me in clarity so that I can, give and receive And I just am just obsessed with salt because it's cleansing.
Even if you're
Cleansing.
not a practitioner, you're not doing readings or healings, if you just want to perform better at your work, if you want to focus better, feel more centered, I mean, that's what this balancing is about. And there's another one that's for grounding, and it's right in line with what you were just talking about, Melissa, specifically working on your root chakra to open it, make sure it's open and clear, and then really grounding it. And I like to do a visualization of this large tree root just going from my root chakra down into the earth, very deep, tapping into the earth energy. And I feel that like right away, but I'm a visualization person. So that's something you can do even if you're at work or you're in the midst of a little bit of chaos and you just need some grounding. Just close your eyes and for 1 minute, visualize your root chakra opening wide and a root literally going down into the earth. And it's amazing what that can do, just energetically tapping into earth energy.
All of these things, I mean, are things that we do, all the time. And I actually have a list of things that sometimes I add in. And I've never been a salt bath person, but I find that essential oils, if I use oils and crystals during my relaxation process of just tuning out and chilling, very powerful. And I have specific oils that I really like for that. And, everybody can do this. I mean, just pick the oils that really work for you, that you are noticeably, your energy is shifted by those. And the crystals, we all have certain crystals that we gravitate to. So I used to occasionally get sinus headaches, and that's one wonderful thing about living in Arizona. I don't really deal with those very often, but in other places where I lived, I would lay down and I would put a smoky quartz crystal on my third eye and then just have, one of the oils or whatever I was using and just do a 15 or 20-minute clearing and rebalancing. And I find that to be incredibly helpful. Even when I mean, I don't get headaches over here, the sinus headaches like I always did before. So that's a wonderful way to just bring yourself back to, I feel like I'm like in stasis, like boom, I'm back.
Glad you
So
brought up the essential oils. I want to say something funny about this because I don't think he's watching, so we're safe. But my daughter introduced me to doTERRA essential oils, and they have a wonderful balance blend. So if you don't want to have to mix your own, you can buy them. I'm sure other companies have them too, but doTERRA is good. And so this balance blend is for exactly what we're talking about, grounding and balancing. My son-in-law is very ADHD. He is the highest energy person I've ever met in my life. Go, 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 go. So my daughter could not make any headway with it. She started sneaking it into his shoes just before he put them on. She would rub it into the sole of his shoe. And that day was an immediate change for him where he was more calm, more focused. And so she confessed what she did, and now he puts it on the bottom of his feet in the morning. So that's been a pretty powerful experiment there that if it worked for him, it'll work for most people. So I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah, I do a lot of the other thing I do is I do help people with clearing energy in their houses from the standpoint that, they a lot of the places that people live, there's just a tremendous amount, they're bombarded by, now we have the 5G and they have all the EMF and the electrical wires and everything else. And I mean, the wiring in your home, the electrical wiring actually sends out, a frequency too. So I never was able to really use sage or Palo Santo or any of those things due to the impact it has on my respiratory system. But I always would just have people put out a little distilled water in a small cup or a glass and put a drop or two of oil in it. If you don't have, an aroma therapy setup, you can just do it like that. You can also put a little bit on a light bulb, just put it on a Q-tip and put it on a light bulb. And when the light bulb gets warm, those oils will permeate and come out in your home. And it's pretty amazing the impact that those have on your spiritual practices and how, you can create this amazing frequency.
When I do a house clearing, I've gone to using a portable diffuser that's battery operated so that I can carry it around with me. And instead of dabbing the oils on the corners of every doorway window, I carry it around with me as I'm doing my prayers and protection clearing work. That works really well. And that's something people can do, is just move it around all your doors and windows, say a little prayer, move, every place that is an entrance into your home, including a fireplace. So that's something you can do. But another kind of like, Melissa, you were saying something. Let me get on track here. You were saying something like you need a little checklist. I do think that's a great idea for people when they're first starting this. What are you going to do in the morning to start your day? Like a big one for me, for part of my spiritual discipline, is gratitude. It shifts the whole energy of my day. It shifts my view of my life, my world. Just getting up and first thing in the morning, I like to say this is going to be a wonderful day. I say that before I even get out of bed. And about God, please send me the people I can help today. Roz's little affirmation. But then I do 5 things I'm grateful for, whatever comes to my mind first. And I was listening to a podcast show yesterday, as I listened to a lot of spirituality podcasts, and they had a guest on who was talking about gratitude. And she said, sometimes people will say, what do I have to be grateful for? I'm not wealthy. She'd say, do you have a roof over your head? Well, yes, that's something to be grateful for. Do you have food to eat? Yes. Can you pay your bills? Yes. So all of those things are certainly big things to be eminently grateful for. And another one is the people you love, your friends. I mean, just whatever comes to your mind. And it can change every time you do it. And then I also do spiritual protection and empath protection in the morning. I cannot function without that. If I'm taking a shower that day, I do my blue waterfall of love and protection that washes away all negativity from within and without. That's on my website, my original website, Ivory Angelic Medium, under resources. If you want to take a look at that, you're welcome to use it. That's there for everybody. So that's my morning.
I think morning is, to me, one of the most important times to be working on your spiritual practice, because it sets the tone for your day. But before I go to sleep, I'm usually working on things too. And of course, I always have a lot of projects that I'm working on for clients, doing energy work for clients. And I work on those things in the evening a little more, as well as during the day. I repeatedly will send energy or just do healing work for people. So all of these things, I think, are a part of our spiritual discipline as defined. You know, so I think it's important to realize that, especially in the gratitude aspect, we we have a tendency to just get so rushed and so overwhelmed. And I always just say every day, thank you, God, for all my blessings. And please allow me to continue to be in the right frame of mind where I can help people. and I can be insightful, and I can realize the things that they need to know to work on their um, spiritual day. So, and I think everyone, we all have friends. I mean, we all take care of family. We all are connected. It's a web when we're connected all together. So sending that energy out to just people that we know, not in a professional capacity, just, people we know and we love is really important.
I
I love
agree.
I love the gratitude one too. I always have things like I just that got me through. It's now almost 30 years ago that I have had the book that said do the gratitude prayers every morning. And so every day for 30 years, warm water has been on mine. Warm water has been on mine, and sunshine and the animals, because the animals around me, like kind of ground me and keep me in that love vibe. And that helps me get through the day and be balanced and directed to, whatever I'm supposed to do.
Absolutely. And Roz, what you were saying, like this are things that you have to do to be able to do your work, but it's not just for practitioners. I mean, this is for anybody who wants to feel better, wants to advance on their spiritual path, wants to raise their frequency, wants to be able to connect with spirit or angels, whatever it is. These things we're talking about are going to be helpful for you with all of that and more. So that said, like at nighttime, I've had a lot of problems with dark energy attacks through my life. So the first thing I do at night is I do my nighttime intentions, which is not allowing anything beneath the fifth dimension to enter my field or affect me in any way. And I go through a whole list of every way that I've been affected and everything I want to be protected. And that list grows and it changes now and then. Mostly it grows. So it's kind of a long intention. And then I ask the angels to come in and surround me and protect me as I sleep. And I put that bubble around myself. And that's when I talk to my angels. That is my set time. Not that I don't communicate with them through the day, because I do all day long, but this is just like our time to have a conversation, to just spend time together. And then I do healing on people who need it. Like Roz was talking about, clients, friends, family who need healing. That's when I work on it. And eventually I do go to sleep.
I think one thing, I mean, for me has been, and we've talked about this before. Um, I've gone through some very long periods of my life where I had no television, and it was a choice because I just would get distracted in all the things going on in the world, all the things going on in politics, all the things that if I wanted to dwell on them could really get me agitated because I am, I've got that warrior side. So I think determining we all have leisure time, determining how you want to spend your leisure time is a really important part of your spiritual practice for me. Um, I do, if something is going on, and I want to get information on it, I will go online. I will watch a little news reports, see what's happening, but I don't stay on there and I don't dwell on it. I don't allow myself to dwell. I get into a mode of, okay, all of this is happening right now. Let me send good energy, love energy, compassion, kindness, and solutions oriented um, energy to people undergoing, these different events in various parts of the world. And I spend a lot of time doing that with animals, where I'm getting on and I'm seeing, various things that are occurring around the world with that. So I work on those things. These are kind of like my, I guess, my personal to-do list of things that I would like to see change, and directing energy to that, and being very cognizant that, you can't live in a situation where you know absolutely nothing about everything that's going on, but you can pick and choose what you want to direct your healing and your love energy to, and go forth with that as projects. I guess I'm a project person. I like to know that, for the for whatever time I devote to it, that I'm I can always feel when it's working. So I have to realize that, that's an important part of my choice in life, and my satisfaction in seeing improvement. So that's a big deal, a big part of my spiritual practice.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I know for us and other practitioners, I know what you do throughout your day is also absolutely part of our spiritual practice. Even though we can't put a checklist on it, we can have a mental note to ourselves when this happens, when someone affects our energy negatively, or something like a TV show, a book. As an empath, I always feel it first in my solar plexus, that upper part of my stomach. It'll hurt. And that's not just letting you know, if you're an empath, that's not just letting you know that your energy field is being assaulted. It's letting you know your energy field is being lowered. Your frequency is actively being lowered at that moment. So it's letting you know you need to get away from that or get out of that situation. But also things like, for me, when people say things, I have an immediate reaction in my head of what's the most positive reason they might have said or done that. Because it's very important that we do not take things personally. And that's a hard thing to do. That book that I have it right here, that's The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. That's a classic. Read it if you haven't. That section on don't take it personally will help you in life, because you're going to realize that you're absorbing a lot of things and taking things as an assault against you that never was meant that way. Oh, the angels are coming in. So when that happens, when something triggers me, I don't want to respond right away. I discipline myself to think about it for a bit and really examine like why I feel the way I do and why they might have said or done that. So just something to think about.
Very
I
helpful.
agree. And that's been something that's been on my priority list, like something I had to focus on for many, many years, because other people's energies, not even that they're being bad. However, sometimes I've been around just like ruthless, cruel, purposeful, bad people that have wanted to be harmful, or I'm so empathic that it's a lot of people sometimes, or like Ross said earlier, like the TV. I've had many, many, many years without TV, and one of my favorite things to do, even if there's nothing negative at all going on, is go in my car and go sit somewhere under a tree to look at a beautiful place. And in different places that I've lived, there's my place, my places. And um like Ivory said, the sort of connect with the earth and ground, and everything just moves clearly. So that's one of the tricks and tips that I do, is to sort of remove myself from the grocery store, remove myself from um, many hours of work for a minute, and go to that space. And it could be in the middle of snow, rain, and the sunshine. And it just is really nice just to separate out and clear my energy field out. Like you said, sometimes those energies, whether we're paying attention or not, and sometimes just kind of needle into our energy fields when, especially when we're so empathic. And I find that, well, it's, I can't even tell you how many readings I've done in the car, on Zoom in the car, just because it's just a beautiful protected space. But that's one of my focused, grounded, favorite tips as well, to kind of keep myself clear and on track.
That's really important, that whole connection with nature. We as a society have become quite disconnected from nature as a whole. And so sometimes part of your spiritual discipline is to think, when is the last time I went to my special place that makes me feel safe and grounded and better? Like for me, it's Red Rock Crossing. You guys know that. I love to go to Red Rock Crossing because I go there and instantly my frequency just soars up, and I get giddy. It feels so good there. I get giddy. And then here in Cottonwood, there's the Dead Horse Ranch State Park with the lagoons. I love walking around those lagoons. I fantasize about that I'm walking there on days when I can't. So we all have these places, like if it's out in the woods, if it's at the ocean, if it's in the mountains, whatever it is. If you're not feeling too good, if you're kind of lost your way, if you're feeling a little disconnected, I think part of a spiritual discipline is to think about getting yourself back out into nature on a regular basis. Even like Melissa says, just sitting there, especially sitting there and just absorbing the energy, the feeling, listening to the wind in the trees, listening to the birds singing. Boy, that's just rejuvenating at a core level, isn't it?
Truly.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people now, I mean, I certainly remember, even though it's been quite a few years now, I certainly remember trying to ever have that kind of time when my children were little. And I'm sure all you moms out there can relate to that, or, dads who are the primary caregivers, because it really requires 100% focus, when you're providing care for your kids. And I used to it would be like the day just went by like boom, and it was gone so fast. So I would always try to remember to take the time. I remember I used to get up at like 4 or 4:30 in the morning just so I could have that private time, have my cup of coffee, have get in my zone of getting through the day and being in a balanced, process of the day. So it it's very demanding our lives. Even, I I just think about, even, after my kids were grown, and just the demand of daily life, of going to the office, et cetera, et cetera. Always find a way to give yourself that time.
I think that's really important too. And something else just popped into my head. I can't believe I didn't mention it earlier, but something I do through the day, it seems like it's mostly in the morning and you'll understand why, is to write in my spiritual journal, to make a note in there, because I've always received a lot of premonition dreams, important information, signs and symbols for my work through my dreams. So when I wake up in the morning, I have a notebook, a pen, and a little flashlight. And if I wake up in the middle of the night, I immediately get those things out and I write it down, the date, the time, and what I experienced. If an entity, like a interdimensional being comes to me, or a new angel comes to me, or a new spirit comes to me, I write that in there too. So, but sometimes these things happen in the middle of the day or at night before I go to bed. So I'll go in and write in there too, because I've been doing that for about 40 years and I have a lot of notebooks, and it's really helpful to look back and see my entries. And especially I start seeing a pattern, but you also see your own spiritual growth. through reading back into your spiritual journal. So it doesn't need to be anything fancy. I mean, just a little notebook from a dollar store is fine. It's not about the notebook. It's about you making a practice of writing in it every time. Maybe you hear a message from your angels. Maybe you saw a sign, like, you know, that you get feathers. Hey, I found a feather today and it was in my butter dish. You know, that's happened to me. You know, whatever it is that's interesting or different, or it feels significant to you. And that's disciplining yourself to do that so you don't forget, because it is easy to forget these things.
I was going to mention that too. That was awesome, Ivory, because one of the things, I'm by myself for so long, and I don't really have anyone to talk to bounce things off with either. So, and you should have seen my notebook this morning, because I'm starting to have more and more dreams. I'm not usually a dream person, but I wrote that down. But just the journaling for me, or going over pieces when I'm clearing something, or you know, kind of writing a story. Journaling is also really important to me, especially since I don't really have, you know, very many, I don't have family, I don't have anything like that to chat with or to run things by. So I just sort of run things by myself. And then sometimes when I'm in the car and I don't have a notebook, which I am dollar store notebook queen. Like, they're everywhere. There's one in my bed. There are a couple in the car. There's one on the table. There's one in the kitchen. But when I don't have one, I will email myself or text myself, like, wow, here's this, you know, the message from my guides, or here's this, like you said, you saw the feather in the butter dish. That's hilarious. I like that. If you see the sign, or the, you know, the message, and you're like, wow, I'll text myself, like, don't forget that, because sometimes I forget, at least, you know, running through the day, forget some of the most important messages if I don't stop and take notes and write it down. Like Ivory was saying, I love that one. That one keeps me on track. And sometimes I do write lists, like, don't forget to hit the button on the washing machine and get cheese after work, things like that. I add that in there. Not quite as spiritual, but it helps life.
Whatever you need to get you through the day.
You won't have time for spiritual if you don't get your chores done.
Yeah, we still have the mundane things of life. You know, we need to take care of, we need to work, we need to pay the bills, we need to do the yard work, do the dishes, cook some food, you know, all those things still need to be done. Something that also occurred to me that I think is important to make part of your routine, it doesn't have to be daily, just as needed, is to remember to find joy. And that's something a lot of people have found so difficult over the last year. Understandably, there's, you know, a lot of reasons to be afraid, nervous, unsure, scared. However, if you find that you're like spiraling down and you can't feel joy, you can't even remember the last time you laughed, that's something that's time to like really think back to an activity, something you can do on your own that brings you joy. Maybe it is going to a special place in nature. For me, one of the big ones is playing a musical instrument. Nothing lifts my frequency faster. Singing's the best. And so since my singing group can't rehearse right now, I will sing by myself to lift my frequency. And also I'll play harp, or I'll play my piano, or I'll play my guitar, whatever instrument just strikes my fancy at the time, pull it out and play for as long as it needs till I feel better. And it just makes me happy. We have to do some things just because it's fun, just for the fun of it. That's been my motto for the last year, just for the fun of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. We don't have to be focused on making a living and focused on achieving all the time. You don't want to miss the joys of life because it's a weird year or two.
And that.
Even when all this is over, we're all going to have difficult days and difficult times now and then. It's a good skill to learn. I always have my clients come up with a list of 3 things. And I use this for various things, like helping people end an addiction, helping people change a thought pattern, is come up with 3 things that will distract them and make them feel better that they can do. And I make them carry it in their wallet. They have it with them all the time. And they also have it on their refrigerator at home. So no matter where they are, they can pull that out, because when you're not in a good frame of mind, you might not be able to think of these things. So it should be something that doesn't require any special tool, something you can just do by yourself, like sing a song you love, or think of a person that makes you happy, or a moment. But it can be reading a book, it can be laying in a hammock, it can be going for a walk. It doesn't matter. Have your 3 things ready. And that way, no matter how difficult a day you're having, you've got your little arsenal, your joy arsenal.
Yeah, I like that.
Mhm.
I think joy is, we're at, such a definitely challenging time for so many people. Their careers have shifted, their lights have changed. Many of them had to relocate. We have a lot going on, but at the same time, there is always something to be joyful about, and there is something to be thankful about. So keeping those in focus is a really good point.
That leads right straight into something I think is super important in a spiritual discipline, and that's setting intentions. Not only setting intentions for what you want, but really monitoring your thoughts and words and actions. Is that in alignment with the life I want? Or am I actually creating or perpetuating a situation I want to end? So if you are, let's say you're short of money, and you are thinking to yourself, oh, I can't afford that, I'll never be able to afford that, I'm going to be poor my whole life, then think to yourself, is that what I want in my life? Of course not. So flip it around, and immediately, if you thought it, then think, I am abundance. I am open to abundance. I welcome abundance in all of my life. I have so much to be thankful for, and there's more coming in. Or say it out loud. Flip it around and into a positive frame of mind, because we are all manifesting more powerfully all the time, whether it's positive or negative. So you might as well really put your focus on manifesting something positive in your life, the changes you want to see.
I always say that. Don't focus on what you don't want. Always focus on what you do want.
And that's big with health too. I have to catch myself, because it's been a rough year health-wise for me. And I got kind of despondent for a while and thinking I'm never going to feel better. And then I caught myself, and I'm like, if you keep saying that and thinking that, that's probably going to be true. So I started doing what I do with abundance that works so well, and just saying, God and the angels, thank you for the wonderful health you've given me. Thank you for the abundance of energy. And I started to feel better, and it motivated me enough. Like I felt better enough to start exercising regularly and doing a lot of cardio. And I'm still doing that, 2 months later, because that was about when this all happened. It kind of came to a head. So you can take charge of your life, or you can continue to let negative thoughts and maybe others people's negative thoughts and words pull you down, but you steer the ship.
I feel like helping other people to shift their priorities and shift their outlook during this time has been something that not just clients that I'm seeing in the office, but I keep coming back to our family members, our extended family. I don't have a lot of contact, although I stay in touch on Facebook. um, but most of my extended family lives in other areas. But just to send them, to see they have some challenge going on in their life, and to send them energy, kindness, and love, I think, I keep coming back to that, because for me, that's such a touchstone of my focus. It's just making sure that, the people that are around me, if they need help, that I jump in there, and do whatever I can do, but also those who aren't around us, just trying to always keep them in our thoughts every day. And that energy is so powerful, of sending that to people.
Yeah, and it also helps to step outside of yourself. If we think about ourselves all the time, that gets a little narcissistic and it's not very healthy. So I have found that when I was going through rough times, one thing that helped me lift out of it was to do some community service, go help at a shelter, go help at the food bank, whatever it was. There's always need for volunteers in a community. Go do some volunteer work, look at what other people's needs are. It just pulls you right out of the space that you're in and gives you a bigger perspective on life.
I think it's
I
all
agree.
about.
That's one of my favorite things that I still do in different houses. I've lived in a lot of different places, and I do have a listing, a little box, or it's sometimes in a bowl, but usually it's underneath things where no one else can see it. And sometimes I'll put people's initials, like I might not ever meet them again or see them again. Could be a client, could be friend, could be family, could be someone passed already. And I'll put it underneath, just over here, and I stand and touch it every day. And I say for all the, everyone I've crossed paths with, and for the earth, and that's really fun for me. Like, it's positive, like that is joyous, because it's almost like a connector of it's almost like truth of humanity's important, even if they're cranky, even if they're stupid, sometimes they're important. And to be able to 30 seconds, a minute and a half, say a prayer. And one of my favorite things I used to do is, in one of the places I lived, I was signed up for the Adoration Chapel. And because I don't have children, I would choose one of the evening slots or night until early morning. And so that's the Adoration Chapel, or in different cities where there's always someone praying in the chapel, and people sign up. And so I just loved it. And I would take like different study books and things like that. And I would pray the whole time. And I kind of miss it. Talk about keeping you on focus, because I had a few days where I was just, man, I didn't want to go. I was tired. And it's almost like step into that gratitude. Like I get to have this time with God to, it kept me in focus and on track, and I loved it. So
Sounds
maybe
beautiful.
at certain times, certain places.
Sounds great. Any other thoughts on spiritual discipline, things we might have skipped over? All
I
right.
like Miss Melissa's comment of your time you spend with God.
Absolutely. And for me, that's always outdoors. Like even when I was Catholic and then my parents decided we're American Lutheran, and I was very much into church, and I was the head of the youth group and one of the youth leaders for bee weekends and sang in the church choir. But I always felt closer to God in nature. I could feel the energy of God. I could hear his voice in nature. So, wherever it is for you that you feel it, that you feel closer to God, to source, then that's the place for you to commune. It's very much a personal thing, and it's okay. Again, if you have any questions for us and you're watching or listening later, you can get the email address in the show description, and we'll be happy to answer your questions anytime. You've been watching the Sedona Soul Sisters show. If you'd like more information about us or our services, visit our website at sedonasoulsisters.com. Tune in next Friday when our topic is Star Seed. I'm so excited about this one. This is going to be really a show for Melissa and Terry Ann, as that is a lot of the work that they do. So I'm excited about it. And in the meantime, you have an enlightening week.